Hi, I'm Shelley and this is my vlog, The Willow Tree Queen. I thought I would come on today and update you on some makes that I've done recently, including what I'm wearing. Generally, I do manage to refrain from falling into FOMO when I see lots of people making different patterns, and over the summer everybody was making the Nell and the Fabric Godmother version of the dress that I can't remember the name of, and I managed to avoid that particular pressure, self-inflicted pressure, obviously, from watching everybody's wonderful makes. But recently, I've been seeing a lot of the Drew, and it was my birthday recently, and I got some money, and I went on to Tilly and the Buns website, and she was having a sale, so I bought the Drew. Couldn't resist it. A raglan sleeve color block sweater, absolutely up my alley. So this arrived in the post the other day. And I immediately wanted to make it, but I didn't have any fabric, and I also didn't really want to buy any fabric. I never know the quality of a jersey when I buy it online. I often rely on other YouTubers when they do their fabric hauls, describing how a fabric feels, and whether or not it's a good quality and thickness that I want to buy. And to be honest, I was just so keen to get this made that I actually decided to use up some of my son's clothes that I've been hanging on to, that he is very much grown out of. And in the end, the version that I'm wearing is made entirely from reclaimed clothes. So as you can see, the Drew has got a lot of design lines to allow you to color block it. So it's got a bottom sleeve, it's got this band in the middle, and then the shoulder piece is in two pieces so that you can color block that. And then it's got a front and a back, and then the ribbing at the top and the bottom. I've made the longer version in both of the versions I've made. This particular version is slightly different. So this is there are two parts, as I said, to the shoulder. So this is the upper back. Got there in the end. So what I did, because on this version I was using a pair of shorts which had this ticking down the leg, and I wanted to have this on my shoulder, which I've almost achieved but not quite. And in order to do that, I needed to cut the upper shoulder in one piece, and rather than doing the plain version, which is a whole sleeve, I decided, I've got thread everywhere because I've been quilting, I decided to use the cut-off piece, and all I did was draw a line where the seam allowance is so that I could overlap the two stitch lines to get the right size of piece. I have since realized in the making of this one that I needed to size down. So I've cut this down now to a 6. This version I made in a straight size 7, apart from some of the pieces which are from the original jumpers and various things from my son. So a straight size 7 was too large, and you'll see in a minute when I stand up. And also the shoulder piece is too long. It comes to, there's my elbow. So it literally comes all the way to my elbow. So on the other next piece that I show you, because I've made 2 of these, I actually shortened this a little bit as well, and it's a lot better. So so I just overlapped the 2 pieces by this stitch line, and then cut this piece out of the shorts, avoiding the pocket, but I couldn't avoid it completely. So there is a line at the back here where the original pocket of the shorts was, which I just stitched closed. So it's got on both sides, I've got this, and you can also see the original, what was at the bottom of the shorts there as well. Happenstance created a I'm not making any sense. I'll try that again. So luckily, I think that's the right way to say it. I'm not sleeping very well. It's been very windy recently, and it's just keeping me awake. So anyway, my son's jumper that I was using was a color blocked jumper already. It was an age 10, but it turns out that age 10 boys' jumpers have got exactly the right size wrists for a woman of a certain age with small wrists. And so what I decided to do was, rather than using the middle piece on the jumper pattern, so that piece there, rather than doing that, I actually just cut the sleeve off of the jumper at that point. That was almost at the shoulder. There was a small piece just I cut off for the shoulder, and then attached it here. So it's still got the same sort of design lines, but this is from here down using the original sleeve, including the original ribbing. And I also reclaimed the ribbing that was at the bottom of the sweater, my son's sweater, because I didn't have any in my stash, certainly not one that matched. Excuse me. And so I cut the bottom band off of his the old jumper, and I recut it to fit the neckband. You can see there's a faint line there, which is the original fold line, because it was much wider on the bottom of his sweater. I'm sure that will fade eventually, and even if it doesn't, I don't mind. So we've got a pair of his shorts, one of his jumpers, and then here we've got 2 jogging bottoms. So again, I've got some pictures, so I will put them up with the pattern pieces laid down. With the jogging bottoms, I realized, because I was cutting it from the legs of the jogging bottoms, that I was going to have to cut it into 2 pieces and join it together. So rather than having a solid front, I decided to mix and match, and so I've just laid a grey leg over a blue leg, and then cut the front and the back. So I've got blue and grey, and then again on the back, blue and grey. So it is a little bit more colour block than intended. I also didn't have any more ribbing, because obviously I couldn't use a 10-year-old boy's jumper ribbing. It's not going to be enough to go over my hips. So I actually used the remainder of the colour block jumper, which is actually in separate pieces. It's not printed on, it is actually separate pieces. So I could take the front and back panels of that jumper apart, and then cut strips, which I then sewed together into one long strip that was wide enough to fold over, and I've attached that at the bottom. So I'm going to show you what it looks like. This is much too large, but it's pretty comfy. You can see the A-line, not A-line, the back wing of the jumper here, but it is much too big. It is very nice and comfy over a pair of leggings though. So I'm quite happy with how it turned out. So a nice comfy jumper, and it's got, so it doesn't have the pull in at the bottom, because it's got a band on it instead, made from my son's old jumper. So this is entirely reclaimed. Nothing was bought to make this version. I was very happy how it turned out. This particular tracksuit leg had some darts in it as well, so you can see I've got additional lines like princess seams down here, and that is the center joint of the leg, so like the knee rather than the inside seam. And it also had some darts in the leg at the knee point, so they've remained in here, so I've got them on here and also on the back piece, but it's fine. I really like it, so I'm very happy with how this turned out, and nothing was bought to create this jumper. So I'll try on my second version for you, which I made in this is, like I said, a straight size 7, which I had done on the finished garment measurements based on my hips, but I've gone to a 6 for my next one. So I'll just pause and show you what that one looks like. So this is version number 2, which is also partly reclaimed, but some of it was a remnant of jersey that I'd had sitting in my stash for probably a year actually, and I didn't know what to do with it. So this was a size 6. Again, I've used one of my son's jumpers. It was an, again, age 10 jumper. He's 14 going on 15 now, so I've been hanging on to it for a while. The cuffs, so from here down is the original jumper sleeve, including the cuffs, which again, 10-year-olds, brilliant size cuff. So I didn't have to fiddle with that. And I have insert the center band here, but I did make it slightly less even. I think I cut off about 2 inches of the width, so it's not as baggy as the intended version. And this one hasn't come out very batwing as a result, but it's okay. I worked with what I had. The shoulder piece was cut from the front and back of the sweater. It was a hoodie with a kangaroo pocket, so I removed the kangaroo pocket, and I was thinking of putting it on here, but a 10-year-old's kangaroo pocket is ridiculously small, so it just looked ridiculous, so I didn't bother putting that on. Unfortunately, I did make a hole as I was removing it. You know, they put the bar tacks sometimes to strengthen the pockets. When I was trying to remove that, I did put a hole in it. Again, I think I took a picture, but I can't remember. But anyway, I had to really work to fit this in, And you can see there's the original jumper logo upside down on my armpit there, because I had to move things around so that I could fit the sleeve pattern on. And I did exactly the same as the first one, which was overlapping the two pieces. So I had a single shoulder piece to cut out rather than in two separate pieces. So I've got it like this. This ribbing is some that I did have. I think I've had this in my stash again for quite some time, and I only had a very small amount of it. So I did manage to cut the correct size for the neckband, and I haven't ironed this, which is why it's all creased. But for the bottom band, it is a slightly narrower than intended. I'm wearing it with a pair of leggings because that was what I was wearing today, and I've got a t-shirt on underneath as well. So normally I think I would put this with a pair of jeans. So this is what this one looks like. I can move my chair out of the way. So you can see I've got a t-shirt on underneath, but I would normally wear this with a pair of jeans without the t-shirt showing underneath there. If I push that up, actually, you'll see better. Very happy with it again. So I'm not willing to show you my bum in a pair of leggings. So, but yeah, very nice. Really enjoy this pattern. You can see this one is much smaller than the other version and less batwing. I do like the batwing look, but it just didn't work out because I had to make some adjustments. So what I did with the shoulder piece to help it to fit and also to shorten it so it no longer goes all the way to my elbow as the other one does, is I actually folded it up. You can see the fold lines there. So I actually folded it up there like that. Again, that's about 2 inches, so it's about the same as the width I took off. So I folded it up here, and when I laid it onto my onto the jumper to cut it out, I just sort of evened that out rather than sort of extend it or cut this off, because it would have been not big enough to go around my bicep there. I just sort of angled it down to meet back up to there, and that worked out really well. But so yeah, so literally that's all I did, and I think the next one I do I probably would shorten it again, because I'm 4'10", so obviously I'm short all over. So it does work better for me there. I think that's where it's intended to fall. I don't think it's meant to fall at your elbow. Although, looking at these pictures, it might be meant to fall at your elbow. I'm not sure. So yeah, so this are my 2 Drew that I couldn't resist making. It literally, I think, it took a very short amount of time, I think, because I mostly did it on my overlocker. There were a couple of bits that I just felt needed reinforcement. So I did do some seams on my sewing machine as well, but mostly it was on my overlocker. So I think I managed to get the 2 of them in one evening, which was an hour and a half maximum. And also the instructions, I didn't actually end up looking at them. Once you've got the pattern and you cut out all the pieces, it kind of, it's intuitive how to put it together. So I didn't really feel like I needed to look at the instructions. I've put neckbands in, I've done the where you quarter it. I didn't need to put the wrist on because I had a complete sleeve that I was putting on. So it was literally just attaching this into the side pieces. So, but it is very, very simple, very simple. I would definitely recommend it for a beginner, and I really love the way it looks. It is very oversized. If I was to look at my measurements, especially based on my hip, I was definitely fitting into an 8 actually on the garment measurements, but I've cut a 6 and it fits just right, which has got a hip here of 43, which is smaller than my hip. So anyway, definitely recommend it. Really enjoyed making it, and I've got a couple of new sweaters, and I've reused some of my son's clothes. I do have a lot of the pieces of jersey left over from making it, but they're all sort of odd shapes. So I was thinking that I might make them into squares, patch them together to create a new piece of material, and then cut another Drew out. But it'll probably be using the plain pattern pieces because obviously it'll already be patchwork. So I might do that, but it's whether or not I've got the patience to cut all of the squares out of the right size and sew them together first. And at the moment, I'm pretty much into my quilting at the moment, which I'll do a separate video on. So yeah, so that was my recent makes and purchase. I did buy another pattern while I was on the Tilly and the Buttons website. So I finally got the Nell. I didn't at the time, everybody was making it, but I thought, you know, have birthday money, why not? So I haven't opened this one, as you can see at the moment, and it's very heavy, very thick pattern. I think I shared some Guthrie and Ghani fabric remnants that I got recently, so I may well be making some tunics, depending on how much I've got, from this pattern using those fabrics. That might be coming up. I don't know, this weather, it just doesn't make me feel like sewing dresses. Sweaters and that kind of thing, sure, but not so much dresses. I think that's why I'm focusing so much on quilting at the moment, and I'm really enjoying the Fancy Lad Quilt Company quilts. Anyway, that's enough from me. There's so many videos out for everybody to watch at the moment with Vlogmas going on. I'm really enjoying watching everybody's daily updates. And if you have taken the time out of watching Vlogmas to give my little video a watch, thank you very much. Please do give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. And I shall see you next time. Bye.